Welcome back to another episode of Productivity in Real Life, and today I wanted to continue on in our Working with Evernote series and discuss mapping your notes. Some of you long-term Evernote users might remember a feature called Evernote ATLAS, and it sadly disappeared a few years ago. You'll see here, this is a post on the Evernote forums, posted May 7th, 2016. Some discussions where various people have got concerned that this feature was removed. All seems to be coming back to 2016. I do remember the feature there. I actually utilized it a fair bit, and yeah, it was kind of disappointing when it did disappear. You see here, like I say, this is going back into 2016. Various discussions on the forum quite extensively, and those discussions actually continue right up until today. Well, here's August 27 of 2020. And there's a lot of discussion as to why it was removed. You can do some additional Googling and find various things as to maybe why it was removed. Nonetheless, it's gone, and what it was a way to basically have your notes mapped out in Evernote. When you created a note, it would record the GPS coordinates. This is just maybe a simulated screenshot, or it's a screenshot anyway, from somebody called Alex Lee. And you can see here, this person has 203 notes. When they look at all notes, 203 over here in California, 1 somewhere in South America, 10 over in Asia. And you can drill down and actually look at the different locations a little bit closer. So here's 9 notes out of Japan, 1 in San Francisco, 191 up here, Evernote HQ perhaps, 18 notes. So it was kind of a handy feature to see where you are creating your notes. It was handy. I found it handy when I was out traveling. You created a note and it would come up on a board like this. You could see, if I created a note when I was in Cuba, doing maybe an internal review in my own notes about a dive shop or something like that, or a new place I wanted to visit next time I was in Cuba. It was handy just to do a quick note, hit save, and have it show up on the Evernote map a little later. But like I said, that feature is sadly gone. Like I said, there's no point in waiting for it, because notes here from when it disappeared in 2016 still continue on to this day, and I don't see that feature coming back. That being said, let's jump into how I do that today. I basically replicate this same feature in Evernote, and actually you can use the same technique in all of your note applications, whether it's Evernote or Notion or anything else that basically generates a link to a note. I will just show you here. You'll need a Google account, and obviously your notes. So as long as you've got a Google account, and that means if you've got a working Gmail account, you can go to mymaps.google.com, press enter. Now, you won't have a screen like this that comes up. You'll probably have something a little bit more blank that comes up, and basically we're creating a Google map and creating those links to your notes manually. It's a little bit of a pain, but I'll tell you right now, it does work quite nicely. Here's one of my maps. I got a variety of things in here. Basically some of my travels. Green is where I've been. The orange color is where I need to visit, places of interest. Places I've been to that I want to see again are in red. Camping spots that I've sort of bookmarked, yellow. Photo sites, blue. You can create whatever you want. So some of these have Evernote notes attached to them, some of them don't. In this case it doesn't. Here's one right here. I've got an Evernote note attached to that, and I could just click on that and jump over to Evernote. It's an abandoned building. This is just a copy off of Facebook. I did a screenshot, saved it in Evernote as a place of interest, and yeah, it's on my map. Other spots, I got no notes there. Links to photo albums, things like that. Let me just check some of my travels here. Jamaica, Cuba. A lot of stuff I don't have notes on. Here's one here, Evernote. This is probably going to go to a travel receipt that I might have to blur out on you guys. This was a master travel note for when I was in this location of Mexico here, Puerto Vallarta, and just some of my travel plans. Anyway, I think you get the basic idea here is we can have a Google map with hundreds of pins on there and all of those jumping back into Evernote to give you a bit of an idea or a bit of a plan to map out your notes if you so choose to utilize some sort of visual mapping system. Let's just jump back to mymaps.google. Show you another one here. I work in the construction business, and it's kind of handy to map out different locations of work projects. Some of these will go to Evernote. Some of these will go to SharePoint sites, Dropbox, any sort of thing like that. So here we go to Evernote. And I gotta blur some of this out here on you guys, but PDF files are all linked within this Evernote note. And it's a great way to visually organize your notes. Doesn't have to be going to Evernote, like I said. SharePoint, Dropbox account, certain files in Dropbox, a folder in Dropbox, Notion, anything that will generate a shareable link to you. So let's jump back and I will show you how to get started. So again, you need a Google account. You need to be logged into that Google account, and then you go to mymaps.google.com. Like I said, you'll have a blank screen here because you probably don't have any maps already created, but if you do, they'll also show up here. Clicking the red button right here, create a new map, is what you want to do, and you will end up with something like this. Untitled map, untitled layer. We can call it whatever you want. Click on it. This is my Evernote ATLAS. You can give it a description if you want, and we'll just say done. Untitled layer, again, you can click on that and give it a title. Travel plans, let's say, and we'll hit save. We don't have to worry about importing. We're not going to deal with that, so we can just ignore that for the moment. Base map, you can change that to the default, or from the default to more of the satellite view, a terrain view, various different views in here. I generally like running with that view there. This is my satellite view with roads. Next step, click these three dots. We need to adjust in our map the database system that we're running with. And don't worry about the term database. We're not getting into anything too complex here. So we'll just click this. Open data table is what you want. And this is our travel plans map. We don't have to find anything at the moment. We're not getting too complicated. And here are two pre-filled in fields, name and a description. We could delete this one if you wanted. Really delete this column. There's nothing in there, so it's not a big deal. And then we're just left with name. But you want to click the down arrow. You can leave the description in. Click the down arrow, insert column after. New column name. So here's what we'll go, and we'll just call this our Evernote link. We'll leave the type as text. Changing it to number, date, or true and false won't let us do what we want to do here, so we leave it on text and we just hit add. If you wanted to, you could add extra columns. Insert column after. You'll maybe have noticed on my one travel map I had those different settings of been here, done this, return again. So we'll just say been here, yes or no. We'll leave it as text. And now our basic database is set up. We'll just hit the close button right here and we're done. So now we're all set. We've got travel plans. This is a layer on our map. You'd be able to turn this on and off, and I'll show you that here in a moment once we get some information going. We've got our data table. We've got a few things set here. We've got the name of our point. We've got our Evernote link, and we've got a column set for been here, yes or no. The next step is we are going to jump over to Evernote. This is my Evernote for Windows desktop version. You can do the same thing in the web version. And now we just need to start mapping some notes. So right off the top here, I'm in my travel notebook. Close out my reminders or minimize them. And the first thing here, 6 great advanced scuba diving destinations, the Great Lakes. Let's add a pin for that. I've dove the Great Lakes before, but of course I want to go back, do it again. So we're going to right click over top of that note. Alternatively, you could go to note and then either share or copy internal link. So what we want to do is decide whether we want to have our map go public or keep it private. In this case, if we wanted to go private, we would go copy internal link. We can come back to our map, find the spot on the map where we want to map our note to, grab the pin up here, and then we just click where we're going. So over here in the Great Lakes, Tobermory, this is a diver's hotspot. Lots of shipwrecks. If you want to go exploring, just be forewarned, the water is quite cold. You need a dry suit certification. Tobermory dive sites, Evernote link, and we are going to paste. Being here, we'll say yes because we have been there, and we'll hit save. Now you've got a pin on that map. If we go to our layers, turn off travel plans, you'll see that disappears. So you could set up a layer that says still to do, already been here, things like that. You could have a layer for different themes if you wanted to have a scuba diving layer, if you wanted to have a rock climbing layer, if you want to just have a road trip layer, things like that. Lots of options. You can have lots of different layers up here. We'll do it all on one layer, and I'll show you a couple of other little tips and techniques onto using that. Different options here when you are in our map. Click on a pin. You can actually upload a photo if you wanted to. You can edit your link, edit your title, edit your link. Been here, yes or no. You can change it at that point. You could do directions if you wanted to, or you can delete that point. You can style it, which is kind of handy. You can change the colors, and you can change different icons. Custom icons as well you could upload. Sport and recreation, I'm not sure if we can just do change it to a swimmer. Not quite what I want, but browse icon library. Let's try fish. Fish, there we go. So there we go. There's a custom styled icon. It's blue because it's scuba diving. You can change it if you wanted to red. We'll leave it at blue for right now. Do a little fish icon. Next, we'll jump back to Evernote. Now, this particular note, we can actually map to 2 spots at the same time. We can actually map to numerous spots at the same time, but in the essence of time, I'll show you 2 spots. Florida Keys. So let's jump back to our map. Zoom out, we'll head down to Florida. Down to the Keys. Just drop a pin in any random location down there. Scuba, points of interest. We've still got that same link in our clipboard, so we are just going to hit paste again. Been here, and no, I haven't been scuba diving down there, but it's on the list of things to do. We'll hit save. So now you can see we've got 2 different points up here. Both are blue. This one doesn't have our little fish icon. We could change that. Or we can go over here to styles. Group places by individual styles. We can go uniform style, we can go sequence, or we can style data by the column. So name, Evernote link, been here, yes or no. So what you could do is come back into our data table. We can expand on this a little bit. Insert a column after. Travel type. Let's do that. Travel type. Scuba. Scuba. Now watch what happens here. We'll just close that. Let's group. Customize the appearance of the layer features on the map. Individual styles. Let's group places by travel type. We can set different labels. Scuba by the travel type. We can put the name on there if we wanted to. We'll go back to travel type. We can go over to this little icon right here, and we will hit that. We'll change the color to blue. We will use our recently used icon of a fish and close out of that. Now look at what we got. We've got 2 points grouped in scuba. Both points now have our little fish icon. We now have 2 map notes on Google Maps customized with some different icons. Let's click here. Let's just go ahead and open the Evernote note. We'll give that a moment. This is the only drawback, is we've got links in our map, in our Google map, and when we click on them, it now opens on the Evernote for web, which is fine, really, in the grand scheme of things. And there's our note. Let's just close that for a minute. Now what you see when we go back in here, these links go into our Evernote account, and we have to have, obviously, our Evernote account here. Otherwise we wouldn't have got the notes to begin with. But this goes into an editing mode. This goes right into our Evernote system where we can edit this note. Now what happens if you don't want to do that though? Because back on this map you can go to these 3 dots right up here and embed this on a website. You can go over here and you can share it. You can actually share this out to people with the link to the map. You can give it to anyone with the link. You can make this a public map if you really wanted to. So you might not want to share out. Now, if you shared out the note like this to a public link and the other person doesn't have access to your Evernote account, well, they're just going to get a screen that says, sorry, you can't open this note because you don't have permission to. What if you wanted to share this though? What if you wanted to put together a mapping system that links to your Evernote notes, but anybody can see those notes? Well, that's back to the beauty of Evernote here. So let's just go, I'll go right here. Here is a screen clip I took off of YouTube. Helena in Montana. It's on my list of things to do. I've been there before, but I haven't seen some of this stuff. I got GPS coordinates and everything. But let's just jump here and go to share. Instead of copying an internal link to Evernote, which is an internal link for our own use, we're going to go share. Copy a shareable link. We had that little brief hourglass on there. Now it's captured that information. We'll jump back to our map here, and we're going to do a search. Helena, Montana. Comes in with a green pin just to show you this is temporary, but we want to now add it to our map. Helena. We go edit. Evernote link. We are now hitting paste. Being here, I'm going to say no because I haven't actually really truly explored Helena. Travel type, we're going to go abandoned buildings because that's what our note was all about. Where do we go here? Some abandoned buildings to explore. We're going to hit save. Watch what happens. So now it's Google Maps has given us a black pin, which is perfectly fine. We'll zoom out here. We've got our scuba points, and we've got an abandoned buildings point. It's picked abandoned buildings because we've styled by travel type up here, and it's showing us over here abandoned buildings. Let's go ahead and change the style a little bit. Abandoned buildings, let's just change that to abandoned. More icons, let's say house. There we go, right there. We'll hit OK. Let's change up the color just a little bit. We'll go to orange. We've now got 3 points mapped to our scuba. If we hover over that, you'll see them turn white. And we'll go down to abandoned, and you'll see our one in Montana that gets highlighted. So, what I was saying about public links, if we wanted to share this map as an example, and I'll actually do that. I will share this map with you. I'll put it in the comments down below, and you can play with it on your own time there if you wanted to. We'll hit this. We'll go to our Evernote link, click, and you'll see how this opens differently. Save a copy to Evernote. If I wasn't logged into Evernote, this would be a little bit more generic. It would still say it's from Evernote, but you can see this is now not editable. This you can view, click in, and zoom in on the picture, of course, but this is just a read-only public note. I could save this to my account if I wanted to. Of course, you're welcome to if you're a traveler and you want to go to Helena in Montana and see these abandoned buildings and have access to these GPS coordinates if you want. But this is a public note now, public viewable, not public editable, but anybody in the public can view that. And if you're using my demo map here, clicking and jumping to that, you'll see what I mean. If you go over here and click on these, you won't be able to access those. Let's do a couple more here, just to show you. Copperfield, Alberta. Let's go here. Ocean Falls. Actually, let's find something different, a little bit more involved. What else could we do? Grand Cayman, more scuba diving. Right click, share, copy a shareable link. This will be public, or we can go internal and we can do that just for ourselves, but this is just public information. Let's grab that, copy a shareable link. Let's go to the Caribbean, and find Grand Cayman. You can manually scroll around your map and look for what it is you are looking for. Find the Grand Caymans wherever they are. I know they're in here somewhere. Grand Caymans, Cayman Islands. We could drop a pin. More scuba diving, Evernote link. We will hit Control V to just quickly paste that in there. We haven't been here yet, so we'll say no. Travel type, again, scuba diving. Hit save. Done. There's another point. We'll click on that. We'll hit our Evernote link, and you'll see again this opens up as a public accessible link. Any links within the note are available for the public to click on. If they jump to another note in Evernote, those will be restricted. And of course you could save a copy to your own Evernote if you wanted to, or just ignore it. We'll just close that again. Jump back to Evernote. What happens if we are into let me just see here. If you wanted to map out your own notes, let's just go again pertaining to scuba. Here's a scuba trip receipt, and actually a bit of my travel itinerary here from scuba diving back in 2018. Right click on the note. Now I don't want you to access this. I don't want anybody else to access this. So we will go internal link only. Click copy. Jump back here. Belize right here. So I was in San Pedro with this, but you could do this. San Pedro, Belize. Click. And I was at one of the dive shops here. I'm not sure if it was that one. You could narrow it right down to the stop if you wanted to. Evernote link, click, travel type. We're loading up our scuba links, but oh well, you get the idea. Scuba, save. Click, and we'll just test that out. Click our Evernote link, and you'll see this comes back into our Evernote for Web system, which will let us edit that note if we wanted to. And Belize scuba trip, notes and planning. Just close that off of there. Jump back to Evernote again. Let's find our travel notebook. So again, you could continue on mapping all kinds of notes, all kinds of information. And yeah, it is a really great way to visually organize your notes in Evernote. Worldwide, like I've done here, or like I showed you on one of those other ones, open a map. And this one here is very localized to the city that I'm in right now. But a lot of these go to different Evernote notes, different OneNote links, SharePoint, all kinds of things like that. Open a map. Let's just jump back to my Evernote Atlas. And there you go. That is mapping notes quite simply, quite effectively in Evernote. And like I said, you can do this in other note applications as well. Let's just jump over to Notion. Here's a note right here. Let's just open that one. Again, scuba diving related. I've got it tagged here for scuba diving. The Notion web clipper didn't really work all that well for this page, but regardless, we're just going to go to share. Actually, we'll keep it internal. We'll go to copy link. Again, this is pertaining to scuba diving up in Tobermory, Ontario. Click, click, drop a point, Diver's Den. Now, it's still called Evernote link, but you get the idea. Being here, I have been here, and it is scuba related still. And we'll hit save. You'll see it's still all grouped together with that scuba tag. Click, click, and you'll see Notion will open up to that page. There you go. If we wanted to share it, make it public, we can share to the web. Just copy there, or click that on, hit copy link, and basically do the same thing with a different link that's more public. Click. And this will now be publicly viewable. It's still loading in my regular Notion, but you get the idea. It will still open up for you if you don't have a Notion account as a public link. It's very similar to what we did with Evernote. Anyway, I hope that gives you some ideas on bringing back the Atlas feature to Evernote and how you can map your notes. Works really great. You can have it for a handful of notes like you see here, or you can use it for hundreds of notes. I'm not sure what the limitation is here on my maps, but I've got several different maps that have several hundred pins on them, and it all works perfectly fine. Of course, if you're using Evernote, you're limited perhaps by the number of notes, but I'm running 47,000 notes here today, and I've got no problems. I don't have them all mapped, of course, but I do have a lot of notes mapped, and everything continues to run perfectly fine. So really, you're not going to have too much for limitations with mapping your notes. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. This has been Productivity in Real Life and our Working with Evernote series and how to map your notes. Be sure to like, subscribe, and of course, share this video if it was helpful to you.